Thank you for coming out tonight for our Meet the Candidates Forum. We're always pleased to offer this opportunity for the community to come out and hear a little bit about our candidates that are running this season for the Clerk of Superior Court, the Sheriff, the House of Representatives, the North Carolina Senate, Board of Education, and the Davy County Board of Commissioners. My name is Michelle Ellis. I'm the Assistant Director here at Senior Services. Our Director, Brent Hart, is home with his newborn baby, so he couldn't be with us tonight, but he's here in spirit and wanted me to send his hellos to you all. So I commend you again for coming out. We have Bob Cleveland again with us this year. He moderated for us a couple of years ago, did a fantastic job, so we appreciate Bob being here. He is with the Piedmont Triad Council of Governments out of Kernersville. So he is going to review the format for tonight's forum, and the forum is being recorded. It will be on YouTube by Monday, so if there's someone that couldn't make it tonight and they wanted to know what happened, just tell them to tune into YouTube and it should be up by Monday. So again, thank you all for being here this evening, and I'm going to turn it over to Bob Cleveland.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, for this evening's forum, want to go over just a couple of ground rules so that everybody's on the same page. Each candidate is going to give about 3 minutes of their presentation to talk about what they want to talk about, and then it will be opened up for question and answer time. We do have a couple of candidates that are the only candidate for that position, so that will go pretty quickly. But in some of the other races where there are multiple candidates, if you have a question from the audience, let us know if you want to have that question directed to a specific candidate or to all of the candidates for them to answer. Again, we want to make sure that if groups require less time because there's less speakers, we may have a longer period. And then limit yourselves to one question to ensure everybody has time to ask their questions. If time is allowed, you will be able to ask additional questions. Well, I want everyone to ask questions, we want everyone to ask the questions that are important to them. Obvious attempts to antagonize or embarrass a candidate will not be allowed. So, at this time, we'll begin. And for Davie County Clerk of Superior Court, we have Jason Lawrence.
Good evening. My name is Jason Lawrence. As Bob said, use the mic. Sorry. Okay, better. All right. Good evening. As I said, my name is Jason Lawrence. I'm the Davie County Clerk of Superior Court. As was also mentioned already, I'm running unopposed. So just for clarification purposes, I will not be on the ballot in March, but I will be in November. So please come out and vote for me then. I would greatly appreciate that. Since we're not debating or doing a forum with other candidates, I think I'm just going to run down some highlights of what have happened during my first term, which I'm now a little over 3.5 years into. So I love every day of it. As you may or may not know, we are 4 months into the biggest overhaul of the system in the history of the North Carolina Judicial Branch. So we've gone completely digital, trying to get away from paper. It's been massive. It's been a 3-year rollout process. Davie was one of the last counties to get it. I was super thankful for that. There have been lots of bugs. There are still bugs, but we're learning and we're getting better at it every day. And it's been a massive undertaking. How many of you like computers? Yeah. So not too many, and that's what our system is really based off of computers now. So, but it's supposed to lead to more efficient justice and greater access to the public, and I think those are true. It'll just take time, and in a few years we forget that we even went through this transition. That was probably the biggest highlight of the last 3.5 years. Another one you may have seen in the paper recently. We just did a complete remodel of the 3rd floor. That was a year-long process. Actually, we're still finishing up a couple things now, but we did a complete remodel, got new superior courtroom, ADA compliant facilities, bathrooms. The bathrooms they had before were from the 60s, literally like a phone booth, hard to turn around in. All ADA compliant now. We have new technology, a jury assembly room. It's really fantastic. And hopefully you never have to come to the courthouse, but if you do, I'd be happy to take you on a tour anytime you'd like to see that. In 2024, we updated our jury management system. The program that we were using before was going to be obsoleted pretty soon, and we were actually the first county in the state to adopt this new software. It's a little bit more user-friendly, comprehensive. It's a good system. And we're doing well with that. Also in 2024, we updated our jury payment system, so no more jury checks. If you have to do jury duty, you'll get a card, it looks like a gift card or a debit card, and the money is automatically put on there. So we don't have to mail out checks. So I'd say that's a huge savings in that. And my bookkeeper doesn't have to S-cheat the checks that don't get cashed. So the money's yours, whether you spend it or not, it's up to you. But it's on the card, and that's been a real good process as well. So anyway, those are some of the highlights. I've got other ideas going forward. I'm always looking for ways to improve processes, facilities, whatever, to better suit the citizens of Davie County. I've said for years, the state pays me, but I work for y'all, okay? I'm Davie County, and I'm here for y'all. So I'm completely honored to be unopposed this time. I'm looking forward to another 4 years, and I would appreciate your support. So thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, for Davie County Sheriff, J.D. Hartman.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak for just a minute. As he said, I'm J.D. Hartman. I'm your current sheriff in Davie County. I've had the honor to serve as your sheriff since January of 2017. I took over in the middle of a term from Sheriff Stokes, served 2 years of his final term. Then I've been through 2 elections since then, and was very blessed and honored to have your support and be elected twice. I hope to have your vote in November. I'm just like the clerk. I don't have an opponent in the primaries or in the general election either right now, so I won't even be on the ballot when you go for the primary. So don't think I'm not running. I'm here, I'm running, and I would appreciate your vote in November. We've accomplished a lot since I became the sheriff. There's been a lot thrown at us. We've dealt with COVID, managed to come through COVID, built a new sheriff's office, managed to accomplish that, changed all of our infrastructure. The state changed how you do crime reporting, and our old systems would not talk to the state any longer, so we had to implement across the whole county new systems. That was about a 2-year project to get that up and running, to report to the state our crime statistics. We have planned for a new jail based on the jail population and the growth of the jail population. The cost factors at the time they were looking to go out and build it were astronomical, so that is still out there floating around. This morning I had 85 people in a 72-bed jail. So I have folks sleeping on the floors and other places, shipped to other counties, all that. So we stay busy, we work hard, we have changed how we serve you as far as assignments and stuff. We now look at everything based on where things are happening in the county, times of day, days of week, and that helps us assign folks. So I have more staff out to serve you, the citizens, during our busy times, less staff when we're less busy. We have brought property crime rates down. Violent crime rates are still up a little bit, but I hope to bring that down tremendously. Currently, for the last quarter, we're down about 40% on property crimes. Our call volume seems to be dropping over the last few months. I have my fingers crossed that through the spring of the year, it will stay down and not climb. Typically, it does climb a little bit, but every year I hope that it stays down and doesn't climb. So we're working on that for you, and I will be happy to answer any questions.
All right, got a question here.
What are your views about the current bill that will go to the floor on March the 9th for freedom to carry and thief? Are you familiar with that bill?
You're talking about to carry concealed without a permit?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I have no problem with it. I support gun rights. I was having that discussion in the back. Folks are carrying already. So if you're doing right, you can carry a weapon and there's no problem. If you're doing wrong, you're going to do wrong whether you have a permit or not. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You said there was a rise in violent crime.
Yes, sir.
What do you plan to do about that?
So we actually are working on that. When I say there's a rise in violent crime, if you've talked to me before over the past 5 years, you've probably heard me say that our violent crime will go up. And what that is like a wave. You can see that happen, and you could see it 5 years ago coming towards us. It starts in the bigger cities. When it rises there, over time it moves down to the smaller cities or smaller counties. And that's where we're at right now. We're at the kind of the top of that wave. So we're working on it. Most of the violent crime we have has been serious assaults and felonies type crimes that are going on. Our murder rate was up. Typically 5 to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would have one murder every 1, 2, 3 years, seriously. Last year we had 5 murders. So I think those will trend down. We've gotten better at how we prosecute those. We've gotten better at how we document that, so it makes it easier for the prosecutors to get those folks off the street that are repeat offenders. I have a team of folks that target repeat offenders to try and prevent them from continuing to do that over and over. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
We have a lot of news about drug issues in the county,
Yes, ma'am.
drug issues in the county, and what would be done to protect the kids in the schools from drug dealers, et cetera,
Okay.
and the crime rate on these drug issues.
So our drug issues have always been here. They're about the same as they have. We've just gotten better at targeting them. Like I was talking about a minute ago with our violent, I have a very good narcotics unit that we've put together and built over the last couple of years. We had a very good narcotics unit. If you go back in the past and look at our previous stuff from several years ago, we made a lot of drug arrests. But it's like everything else. You build something with personnel, people retire, people leave, people change jobs. So that has been reconstituted. They are working tremendously, which speaks to what you're talking about, because I'm issuing press releases when they're arresting people. We had some drug folks we caught the other day who refused to bring the drugs to Davy County because they said it was too dangerous. Cops catch people in Davy County, so they were stopping at the river and wouldn't come across the river to bring drugs and deliver them to us when we were trying to buy drugs from them. We got the other county involved. Just so happened it was Rowan County, and we served a search warrant yesterday with Rowan County on those folks. So we're working hard on the drug thing. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I watched your presentation about the drones.
Yes, ma'am.
At the last Thursday morning. And that was intriguing to me. I said, I watched this presentation on the drones that they are piloting. Is that the right word for it, piloting? And, but I saw an article this week out of Raleigh, we have family in Raleigh, that they are using these, lack of a better term, darts that an officer's car can shoot from their bumper into the bumper of the car they're in a high-speed chase for.
Yes, ma'am.
And then they're able to slow down and just track them.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
they've got them. Are you considering that?
Yes, ma'am. We have considered that. We still consider that. So we're beginning the budget process for the county now. So the way I have that set up, I have a senior staff. They go to their units and their divisions and decide what that division or unit might need. Then they present that to us. Then the senior staff goes through all that. We look at what we might need for the year, because money's finite, and try to plan out and plan long-term. The drone thing is a long-term plan that started because I tasked the senior staff earlier this year to look at what's next. What, over the next 10 years, how do we continue to enhance and provide a high level of service to the citizens of Davie County? So they came back with 3 things about 30 days after I had tasked them to look at that. 2 of those things we were able to implement already within the agency itself. The 3rd was to enhance our drone operations. So that's the part of that presentation you saw, was to enhance drone operations. And if you hadn't seen that, what we're talking about is a drone as a first responder, which gets our eyes on scene faster. Wouldn't just serve us, would serve fire departments, everybody that responds to emergency services. You'd be able to get a eye zone, and the operator would be able to report to the responding units what's going on scene. If it's an outdoor scene, if it's a fire, they actually see smoke in the back left of the building or the house, or where there's a hot spot. So those units would know that before they get there, and we can start moving resources that are needed there faster. Everything that we're looking at is just looking at how we utilize the information and get it to us faster and more efficiently, which helps us serve you, the citizens, faster and more efficiently. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
I just have to, excuse me, but I have to delve a little deeper on this issue of the concealed weapons and Senate Bill 50 that has been pending in the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I'm not sure if everybody is aware of the bill, that yes, there's concealed weapons for 21 and older right now with a permit where you get training, which I don't have a problem with. But the bill is saying that 18-year-olds and up can do concealed weapons with no permit and no training. I'm not even going to ask you to answer if you have a problem with it, but I want people to be aware that if the bill passes, no training about the rules or whatever about carrying the concealed weapons, and for 18 and up. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So, just to clarify, you're only talking about a concealed carry permit. You do know that an 18-year-old can carry a handgun now, open carry, anywhere in the county without any training whatsoever.
Yes, but they could even more dangerous be concealed weapons.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Sheriff Hartman, in your opinion, does wearing a jacket make a gun more dangerous than not wearing a jacket?
No.
Are 18-year-olds able to carry weapons of war?
Yes.
Thank you.
But, yeah, everybody is entitled to their opinion. We're not, I know the gun issue becomes an issue. We have what could potentially be a long night tonight.
The Second Amendment will not be put down.
Any other questions?
I have a question, Sheriff Hartman. This way, over here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry.
No, you're fine. As a teacher in Davie County Schools, I appreciate the partnership between the sheriff's office and what we've done with active shooter training and the SROs on campus.
Yes, ma'am.
That being said, our SRO is shared between multiple campuses.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any plans to increase SRO presence on campuses, including more people?
So the SROs are provided through a contract at this point with the school system. So the school system is the one that chose how that was set up. The county pays for a number of SROs, and the school system pays for a couple, and then the rest the cost is split between the county and the school system. I'm more than happy to provide more SROs if we renegotiate that contract. So I get stuck. I mean, I have to go to the commissioners and ask for money, and school system has money, so that's, in all honesty, that's where that's at. Okay?
All right, thank you very much. All right, next we have the North Carolina House of Representatives, District 077, Sabrina Harris, and is Julia Howard here? I believe she is.
Good evening. Good evening. All right. First and foremost, thank you to Davie Senior Services for putting this on. It's given me an opportunity to get to know a whole lot of people in a few hours, so I appreciate that. As you said, my name is Sabrina Harris, and I am running for North Carolina House of Representatives, District 77. I am originally born in New York, in the Bronx, and I was raised in Charlotte. I graduated high school in Charlotte, and I went to UNT Charlotte on a full scholarship. I am recently moved to Davie County. However, my husband's family is from Davie County, and my last position was a member of Lawrence-Salisbury School Board. So I have been in a campaign before. I know what it takes to do the hard work. And I also understand what it means to be transparent. So I'm the type of person that if you ask me something and I don't know, I go and find out the information. And if I feel confident in my response, I'll tell you right then. But just so you know, for tonight, when you get ready to ask me your questions, I was born deaf and hard of hearing in both ears. So if I struggle to hear somebody, I will ask either my campaign manager or someone to restate the question for me. My campaign manager is from Davie, and that's Shari Moody. And I guess I'll give you a little bit more since I have 5 minutes. But born in New York, at 5 years old, discovered that I was hearing impaired in both ears. I did not talk until I was 7 years old. My mom moved to Charlotte so that I could get more help. And so when we moved to Charlotte, my mom had to go before the school board for me to go to public school. So I'm a big supporter of public education. I'm the product of public education done right. On the Lawrence-Salisbury School Board, I took my horn just a little bit. I was the only member on the board who initiated being on the policy committee with the cabinet. I believe that a board member needed to be there to see the policies that were coming from the state in order for us to write good policies for our students. I was also a part of those who chose to have a new school built, and we ended up closing Knox and building a new school which will be open very shortly. So as you can see, I'm very passionate about public education. I believe they need to release the Leandro Fund. I believe they need to pay the teachers, because when we did take care of our teachers in the 80s and the 90s, we had a much stronger education system. So I strongly believe that the focus needs to be placed on our education so we can build a better tomorrow and a better future. I know that my candidate is a legend here, my opponent, rather. She is a legend here, and I understand that I have a very high mountain to climb and very large shoes to fill. But let me tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm built for the work. And if you ever have any questions about who I am, Google me. I'm all over Google. But I am a seamstress by trade. I do fashion design. We do have a small farm off of 801. And I do mean small, meaning feeding my family. Not feeding the public at all. But again, that's who I am. If you have any questions at all, I'll be very happy to answer.
Any questions?
Okay, so I bring up the concealed.
Oh, we got one in the back. 1 second.
This is a preview of what you're gonna hear from me, but do you know much about the Leander plan?
Sorry.
Do you know much about the Leander plan?
Do I know much about what is included in it as far as how
And anything about it?
What I do know is that it was approved, but it never got rolled out. They never gave the teachers the money. I'm also in favor of master pay. I believe those teachers that have committed to teaching in all of North Carolina deserve to have master pay. They work hard to get that degree, and for whatever reason, they did away with it. I believe that there should be a partisan approach for you to be able to go to the school you want to go to, you want to send your child to. But I don't believe that they deserve all of our money. I'm not going to say my money, right? But public education. I believe that those students should get the money, because when you choose a school that is not fully equipped to handle somebody like myself, I wouldn't dare send my kids to a school that doesn't have the staff for someone who's disabled. Any other questions?
Hi, as you stated before, you definitely have an uphill climb because Ms. Howard has been around for a long time. I remember when I was in high school, she was there, so I'm not going to talk about how old I am. So just talk a little bit about your platform, why you chose to run, what things you're hoping to make happen in Raleigh, just kind of those kinds of things.
No problem. So in my researching, what Ms. Howard has done currently, I saw that there wasn't very many bills that has come out, and I didn't see very many that benefited, that she sat on committee-wide directly for Davie. I only saw a few things. I feel like the transparency is the biggest thing that I bring to the table. I am reachable. You can find me. Like I said, I know you guys are new to me, but I'm the type of person, I go out into communities. I'm not bashful and I'm not shy. And even if you don't receive me well, I find that we can always find a common ground to talk about something without belittling each other and putting each other down. So for me, what I bring to the table is transparency. I also share with you, because I am deaf and hard of hearing, you can't talk over me. You can't talk around me neither. Okay? As a former board member, I share an experience. I was in a closed session. We have a very funny member by the name of Dean, and he loved to crack jokes. And he would say certain things, and I wouldn't catch it right away. And the room would get quiet, and they would look at me. And I'd be like, what did you say? And well, here's what I learned very quickly. People don't mind repeating the truth, but they hate repeating a lie. They won't say it again if they were being condescending. They'll be like, oh no, it wasn't that, it wasn't that. But if they meant what they said, they'll say it again. And so for me, what I bring to the table is slowing the room down when it comes to the committees that are assigned. You will get assigned a committee and you have to be able to work with the people that are in that committee. And so being able to slow that process down and have a real conversation, that's what I bring to the table. Any other questions? Yes.
What are your thoughts about the monies for public schools being given to anybody to go to private schools?
So my thoughts on that is there needs to be a cleaner approach to how that money is going to, because there's one thing we can't do. We're not going to be able to just stop it altogether because it's already in process. But what we can do is talk about the rules around how they get that money and what happened. For instance, I'll give you an example. We've had students that go into charter schools, they get over there and they realize it's not a good fit, and they want to transfer back into the school district. But guess what? That money doesn't come back. That money stays at that school. And that's a real loophole that needs to be closed. When I would go to the annual conference, I was able to be a delegate for Long and Salisbury schools. And I was able to sit and hear all of the different counties go back and forth. And that was the main thing that they went back and forth. It wasn't so much, it was how much money they get because of how much money you make. Anything over 100,000, 200,000, you get a certain amount. But the problem with it is, what happens when that student comes back? And why are we taking a system, a pot of money, which we're already struggling with, paying our very teachers that we have now, and just giving it to people who can afford to send their kids to private school? If you can afford to send them, why do you want this pot of money? And so that was the biggest question that we kind of went back and forth at the annual conference, not this year, but last year. And really and truly, it just boils down to the amount of people who believe in public education versus the amount of people who believe in charter schools. And also it boils down to if more parents would come to PTA meetings, grandparents, auntie, uncle, and actually sit in those conversations and pay close attention, I'd be willing to bet that the money would not flow as easily as it has recently.
Yes, at the state currently, we do not have a budget for 2025. And I'm wondering, I don't understand why we don't have a budget passed. And also, it's nice the taxes are going down, but we're going down to 0 for corporate tax payment. And how will the schools be funded without raising money to fund the schools?
See, that would be a question for Julia, and she ain't here. But honestly, the budget is something that I am aware that we're all waiting. I have family members that are in the correctional system, and they are waiting as well. One is a psychiatrist in the system, and the other one is a lieutenant for the correctional system up in Raleigh. And so I hear all the time about the budget and what's taking so long. If I had an answer to that, I would be able to give it to you tonight, but I don't have an answer for that. When it comes down to corporate taxes, because people tend to get their panties in the bunch when they start thinking about, oh, well, why do I have to pay because I'm making all the money? If I'm in the 2% of the county and I'm making all this money as a corporation, why do I have an obligation to help those that are less than? That have less, not less than in character, but they have less. I believe that that is something that we morally need to answer. That's not something that you can just feel that, well, you know what, I make all the money, I don't need to give no money away. Yes, you do. You have a moral obligation to take care of those who work for you, who show up every day and give you everything they have. You have a moral obligation to look out for those in that community. And I believe that's where we're going wrong as a country. We're going wrong as a country with that. Our moral compass is completely off. I don't believe in my heart that God will be satisfied with everything that we're doing. We're hurting people. We're hurting them. And we're not willing to just have that conversation. Is there anybody in here in the 1%? Anybody in here make over $200,000 a year? Anybody? Then that means we're all sharing the same pain. And we all have a common cause tonight and beyond. It is our obligation to figure out how can we get these corporate companies to have a moral compass. And it won't be easy. Not at all. It won't be easy at all. But if I'm elected and I'm in that state house, I don't mind having a difficult conversation. Not at all. You know what?
I'm in real estate, and the problem we've had is when property transfers by will, there's no deed that goes to the register of deeds office. It's will. If somebody comes in, wants to list their property, we have to go to the clerk of court's office and pull the wheel, which I don't think should be looking at people's wills anyway. I did ask Julia about getting that changed, several years ago. Her answer to me was, oh, that won't pass. But in today's situation with people stealing people's properties, it needs to come from the will to a deed, because it needs to be, if they go to record something in the register of deeds, that it's obvious. We've already had it in our office where somebody called and listed a property for sale that we found out before we went under contract with anybody that they did not own that property.
Oh, wow.
And they had signed their name that they owned it, but they did not own it. So this is happening more and more in things the way they are now. So that is something that needs to change, and the state has to be the one that makes the change.
I'm not aware of a bill currently for what's happening with the deeds for property. I am aware of a story of an older gentleman whose house was taken from him. I don't believe it was here in Davy County. It was just something that I've seen on the news. So I am familiar with that going on. I do also know within the last 12 months, there's been a lot of push to get people to get a trust. Get a trust, put your land, put your property, and put everything in a trust. I do see a lot of that happening. And so that would be one way to protect, yourself right now. But I'll be honest with you, it's not always easy to navigate a trust. And you have to know who you're going to go through in order to get that done. And so if there was some kind of way that our community college could open up and have a night for people to come in to kind of go over their deeds and to figure out how to protect their access, that would be a great idea for something for them to pick up and run with.
I know the Register of Deeds has it set up here where you can register there to be contacted if somebody tries to take your property, if something, transactions happening with your property. That's why that much more that needs to be done, where if it's transferred by will, it should have a deed come from the will to be transferred to the Register of Deeds office.
I tell you what, somebody steal my property, I'll be at their front door. Anyone else? Oh, wow. Uh-oh, y'all getting comfortable. Should I go up under the table? You sure?
Yeah, so I want to get back to the tax thing in a minute. So, all right, you stood up there and said it's like the people who make the money don't pay taxes, right? Or don't pay their fair share of the taxes. But then there's also a world out there that says the top 5% pay actually 90% of the tax revenue comes from them. So where does that disconnect come from?
So when they pay some taxes, right?
Well, they pay the majority of the dollars.
So that you feel like they pay the majority.
Yeah, it might not be the percentage, but dollar-wise, I mean, I heard just this week on the radio that like
The top 5% pay like 90% of the tax burden.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because you look very knowledgeable, you've been here long.
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but that's what I'm saying. So where's the disconnect from, what you're saying is like the people who make money don't pay taxes?
I don't believe that they don't pay taxes. I believe that they should pay more in taxes. I'm gonna just say it straight, just like that. They should pay more than they register what they're paying now. It has been new tax laws where they're not having to pay a certain amount, So I understand that. But my question to you is, living here in Davie County, in the corporations that that function here, how well do they take care of the community here?
Well, I know they do provide a lot of the jobs, right?
Yes.
That's where the folks' income comes from. And businesses come into Davie County and hire Davie County workers, right?
Okay.
And so that brings jobs into our community.
Right.
And I know a lot of those jobs pay pretty well.
Right. And outside of that, what about your helping ministry? Is your food pantry filled? What about your opioid addiction? Do you have somewhere for people to go for outpatient services?
Is that a big problem in Davie County, opioid addiction?
Is that a big problem in Davie County?
Sheriff, JD, is he still here? Yes. Is opioid addiction treatment a big concern in Davie County?
It is, but we have a program in place that we work.
Sorry, so I can't hear you up here.
It was, well, it still is, but we have a program in place that we've worked very diligently to put in place. We call it the community paramedics, or at least that wasn't the original name, but that's the kind of the street name that is settled for it. And it was a partnership between the sheriff, the health department, and EMS. So we have folks that will respond, my deputies, social services, etc. We actually have a form, electronic form we fill out. It goes to the community paramedics. They respond so they can check on people on a more regular basis. They have treatment programs, connections to get folks into treatment programs. They provide services, and it's expanded to this point that it's like if it's somebody that we end up going on calls at their house, an older person all the time, I'll use for example, then we can submit that name. So the program has expanded. It has reduced our overdose rate by about 70% over the last year and a half.
So you're saying you do have an inpatient treatment facility?
No, not in the county, no.
Not in the county. Any other questions? Oh, you sure? Okay. Well, I'll still be here because I want to hear what these school board candidates got to say. So I'll be right here so you can ask me afterwards, okay? Thank y'all.
All right, North Carolina Senate District 30, we have Pamela McAfee, Eddie Gallimore, and Steve Jarvis.
Okay, I've got how many minutes, Chuck? You can hold me to it. Hi, my name is Pamela McAfee. I live in Davidson County, and I am a person with disabilities. I am very passionate about not disabilities, but barriers. There's two ways of looking at disabilities. You can look at it like the medical model. I'm hard of hearing, I have a connective tissue disorder, whatever. That's one way of looking at it. But the way I look at it and the way that society deals with it are what barriers are in front of me. What barriers are there for me to participate just like everyone else? And when you look at it that way and you pull back, you notice that it doesn't matter if you have disabilities. We all have barriers. We all have barriers. When I look at Davie County, I see it's beautiful. It is beautiful. But it's one thing that I learned recently, North Carolina is second to Texas in the United States with rural population. We have the second largest rural population in the United States. Looking at it a little bit deeper, a lot of the younger people are leaving rural communities, going to the larger cities, larger municipalities. As they do that, the people who are coming in are usually from out of state and much older. And that does not add a lot of people who can do the work. What they've noticed is, and I could get anyone who wants any of my information later, I can email it to you and dig up where I get these facts from. But there appears to be, there is a recession still in a lot of rural communities here in North Carolina. So it's basically, how do we get things moving? And I'm a big person when it comes to education. talked about Leandro. Going to try to make it as quick as possible. The Leandro plan is over 30 years ago. A group of people, Leandro being one of them, sued the state of North Carolina saying, we're not getting a good education, just a basic education. It went through the courts. It was settled that our students have a right to a basic education, and they're not getting it. Consultants were called in to do the work to find out where the deficits were. And at this point, the court said, okay, we have the money, let's pay into it. Let's pay it, and I can give you details on how it could help Davie County if it's being paid on it, but people are sitting on that money, and it's not going out to the schools, and that would help every community here, all 100 counties in North Carolina. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. I am Senator Steve Jarvis. I'm currently your senator, Davidson and Davie County. My wife's here as of 39, as of April, it will be 40 years we've been married. Just to give you a little history about you, we've got 2 boys. I've got 3 grandchildren. I started out in public service as a county commissioner. I was a Davidson County commissioner for 6 years. After that, I went to the House. I served 1 term in the House. I currently am in my 3rd term in the Senate. We have worked very tirelessly and hard for the people of Davie and Davidson County to try to get rid of all the woke politics around, common sense things like no boys and girls sports. We need to protect our girls and protect our grandchildren from any predators. We've worked at lower taxes. Went to Raleigh originally when you first sent me. I went to try to move things forward on common sense principles. This past year, I talked to Senator Berger. I told him, I said I would like to create a reg reform committee so that we could go out, and he came in and set up a reg reform committee. We were appointed to it, and I said the first thing we're doing is going from Murphy to Manio and going to talk to the businesses in the communities and the citizens. Basically, if you work for the government, if you've got a county or city job, we're not looking to hear from you. We're looking to hear about what is impeding business and you to be able to work to move forward in this state. And we've done that. We've had a good run there. We've worked on many things, but I certainly appreciate the senior center putting this on. I want to thank you for that. And again, my name is Senator Steve Jarvis, and welcome any questions.
All right. Well, at this time, I want to remind you that if you have a specific question for a candidate, please address the candidate. Otherwise, your question will be to both candidates. Any questions? Okay, one in the back and then one in the front.
Hi, good evening, Senator Jarvis. Thank you for coming to Davie County. I do get your newsletter, and I know you're from Davidson County, and maybe you can explain how you've been paying attention to Davie County instead of just Davidson County.
I have actually subscribed to all of the news feeds that I could get in Davie County. I have contacted the county manager. I talked to the county manager just the other day. I was here just the other day and meet with the sheriff regularly. They've got my cell phone number, and if you want my cell phone, I've got a card over there. Anybody here can have my cell phone number, but we actually continually to watch all the news feeds and the different newsletters that come out of Davie County.
My question is directed to Ms. McAfee. Could you talk a little bit about your background, kind of what your experience has been, if you have experience in government or whatever? I didn't hear you say anything about
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for asking for that. Well, first of all, Senator Jarvis and I were just discussing earlier today. By the way, early voting started today. Something I'm also very passionate about. Speaking of voting, I'm the president of a 501c3 called Rev Up NC, which stands for Register, Educate, Vote, Use Your Power. We focus primarily on the disability vote, but all voting. So if you have any questions about voting, if you want to check your registration, that's what I do. Within the Democratic Party, I am the second vice chair for my county, the second vice chair for the congressional district. I am the second vice chair for Senior Democrats for the North Carolina Senior Democrats, and I am the president of the Disabilities Caucus for NCDP. That's what I do within the party here in North Carolina, and I told you about my 501c3 thing. I just recently was added to the board of ALP, which is the Ability Leadership Program, and I'm a political organizer. That's what I do for a living. I work on all sorts of races, from a local race all the way to running phone banks online of over 1,000 people for Kamala. And I helped with Prop 50 in California. And as government-wise, actually, what I was saying is Senator Jarvis and I actually worked on one thing kind of sort of together. I lobbied with Down Home for Medicaid expansion. And everyone's like, don't even bother talking to Senator Jarvis. He's a no. But I did. I met him. We had a very nice new Zoom meeting. He asked the right questions, and he voted to expand Medicaid. So I kind of feel like the both of us worked together on that one topic. When I first moved here, I live in Davidson County, and one of the first things I got involved with was what we call Vote For, All For. We expanded alcohol sales in the 4 referenda that was on the ballot. Was an ABC board, malt beer sales, wine, and mixed drinks. And when I started studying that, I'm not a drinker. I can't tell you the last time I've ever had a drink, but I'm not anti-drink, and I'm looking at, when you're talking about being for business, people are gonna drink, it's not illegal. So why was Davidson, then later Davy County, also voted to expand that? Why were we spending our money in other areas and giving it to other counties and other municipalities? When we got these, when we were able to pass these measures, millions of dollars are now coming into these different counties. And when they come in, there are specific things that they're earmarked to spend, like law enforcement gets so much a percentage of the sales that come in. It can go to schools, it can go to parks. That's part of what I've done government-wise. I've run for a number of things, but I'm a Democrat, and look at where we're at, okay? We need more voices like me. We need more voices like Sabrina. We have more voices than one. I don't have a problem with protecting trans youth. I really don't. But I think if we're gonna talk common sense, that means you pay your bills first and you pass a budget. So I wanna be your voice of the people who are not being listened to in this county.
We got a question back here.
Miss McAfee, I wanted to ask, when you said talking about common sense, do you feel it's common sense that we should show our ID when we go to vote?
That's a really good question. I know that I'm Team Blue, and everyone thinks that we don't think it's a good idea, but I think it's not a bad idea as long as you have access to IDs, that it's not seen as impeding somebody's right to vote. So being a person with disabilities, not everybody, I don't know very many blind or low vision people who have a driver's license. So can they get an ID? And one of the things I love about in North Carolina is you can go, I don't think you can do it right now because voting has started, but after the election, go to your Board of Elections and ask for a free voter ID card, and they will give it to you. And it'll only be for voting, but they'll give it to you. So as long as it doesn't stop you from voting, I'm all for it. If you have financial barriers, remember the barriers, to getting that ID, that's a free ID. So yeah, I think that IDs are a good idea. Thank you. Thank you for that question.
Mr. Jarvis, my question is specifically for you. You stated that you were against woke principles, you were for common sense, and against no boys and girls, or you were for no boys and girls sports. Can you cite any specific instances of wokeness or boys and girls sports that you have helped to rectify in Davie County specifically?
No, not in Davie County, but I represent all of North Carolina. My district is just Davidson County and Davie County.
My question is for Pamela. Can you give a definition of what a woman is?
What a woman is.
What's a woman?
What's a woman?
What's the definition of a woman?
What is your definition of a woman?
What is your definition?
Well, I'm getting the question that you're giving me gives me an idea that you have a certain trap. There's biological that we can talk about. There's cultural that we can talk about. There's society that we can talk about. You don't have to agree with me, and I don't have to agree with you.
I know.
That's okay.
I know. Can a man have a baby?
Can a man have a baby? What's your definition of a man?
You're a psycho.
Pardon?
You're a psycho.
Do you have rules about people doing that? Thank you.
So AI is a big thing right now. AI is a big thing right now, and with Duke Energy increasing their rates every year. And the talks of bringing a data center to North Carolina. I want to hear from you first, Mr. Jarvis, as to where do you stand and what are your beliefs when it comes down to the amount that people are paying for energy and how it would impact our waterways and our environment if we were to allow a data center to come into any parts of our rural county.
So I currently am vice chair of IT and just came back from San Francisco and met with Stargate. If you're familiar with Stargate in Texas, the data center that's being built there. I met with Crusoe, the builders of the data center. We discussed coming into the state, and they're looking at some property. As far as the notion that it is going to raise the rate of electric, the data centers build a good portion of their own energy. Whenever I met with them, they were talking about building 100 megawatts of gas, using gas for generation of electric to provide power to their own grid. That would actually, they would be paying for that. So I am in favor of bringing data center if we have the water supply. There's a lot of issues around whether you have the water supply in the area, and that has to do with whether they locate in that specific area.
The data centers, if the Duke Energy wants a data center, they're gonna have to pay their share of it and I know that there's finding ways to put the money on us paying it. As a political organizer, I'm hearing this from all around when we're calling. There's other people in other states that are worried that they're already building these data centers, that their utility bills are going up. So I would have to very, very closely look at where the money is going and not be fooled into thinking that they're gonna pay for their own when I know that the model has been so far that somehow or other they bill us, we get our energy rates to go higher. So that's the best I can do right now.
Ms. McAfee, a few minutes ago you referenced the alcohol provisions and how you encourage Davie County to get on the bandwagon there. If the state were to make marijuana and or prostitution legal, would you encourage those businesses in Davie County as well?
I have not done any studies in prostitution. I'll be honest with that. But when it comes to marijuana, I think that we really definitely need to look at legalization, at least at a medical level. There has been proven benefits with the issue I have, the condition I have. There's proven benefits of how THC and CBD will help us. Right now, everyone's like, well, you can just go get gummies, or you can just go get the stuff from these hemp stores. This is not regulated. It's not being regulated. You don't know how much of something or how much of a percentage of something you're going to get. It's not a good model if you're going to do this medically. I think also when you think about North Carolina, a lot of people who are not from North Carolina think about the history of North Carolina and how it's connected to tobacco. And tobacco is legal, alcohol is legal. We have the infrastructure here in North Carolina as different states are legalizing the use of THC. We have the infrastructure to actually help build more revenue, more jobs, and I'm for definitely from medical use and then regulated possibly in the future for recreational use. But go ahead.
Just to be clear, then, if prostitution were to have the same infrastructure and regulation, you'd be in support of that as well?
No, I don't have I have not heard anybody talk about legalizing prostitution, so I don't have a position on that.
Hello, cool. So my question is for both of you, and it's very, very simple. Talking about election integrity, and everybody wants that. Do you believe that Davie County, both of you, operates fair and open and honest elections? And part two of that question is in your opinions, is the best way to do that is in-person voting requiring ID where accessible?
Do you want to go first? Okay. I feel like I'm hogging up all this. We have an amazing group of people who manage our elections within the State Board of Elections here in North Carolina. They do a tireless, often thankless job, and I welcome any of you and all of you. Please go to your Board of Elections and watch as they're bringing in, as the vote by mail ballots are coming in, how they look at every single ballot. Make sure that there's no deficiencies on the container. That means that there's nothing wrong with that they filled out the information on the envelope correctly. They're not even going to look at what's in there unless that's filled out correctly. And you've got eyes from both parties. You've got eyes in the staff looking at every single vote by mail ballot that comes in before they even look at what's inside it. So vote by mail is very safe. It's very effective. When it comes to the election integrity in North Carolina, I think we have a really good system here. I've worked with the work I do, I've worked with other states that don't have what I feel is they're all good, but I really like North Carolina's. We've got a really, we have an amazing, I just can't, honestly, I'm always there. I'm going to the Board of Elections meetings. I'm watching every step. And I think that if people did show up at the Board of Elections meetings, and you see the work that everybody puts into it and how secure it is, I think all the talk of it not being secure would go away.
So I would like to ask, throw a question back out. How many of you have gotten something in the mail that wants to verify whether you're a registered voter? My hand's right there with you. We changed the Board of Elections at the state level and turned the Board of Elections over to the auditor, the state auditor. I believe there are 88,000 letters that have went out across the state that is verifying that something, either your license number or on your license, and the only thing I could find on mine that potentially could be a problem was Old Highway 75, and my license says Old NC Highway 75. But that is a discrepancy. And so I think that we're doing a good job. I don't really, the system we've got in place, mail-in ballots for people that are overseas or military, I have no problem with, but I do not like mail-in ballots.
Can I add something? You reminded me of one thing about handing it over to the auditor. That is actually, it should be, according to our North Carolina Constitution, under the purview of our governor. And if there's any problems I see with elections, it's an overreach of making it partisan, and that worries me more than anything. Because the people who've been managing our elections have been doing it fair.
Oh, last question.
This question is for Senator Jarvis, and first of all, let me thank you for the newsletter that you send out. It's very informative. My question to you is, why is there not a budget in North Carolina? We're the only state in the country without a budget. And I'm having a real hard time, as a former state employee, I really take it a little personal, but why is there not a budget?
Thank you for the question. Everybody says we have no budget. We've got a $33 billion budget, that's with a B. $33 billion budget that is in place and we are operating under today. If it was the complete budget that was passed, there would be just under $1 more billion. So the notion of no budget is a false notion because we are operating under a budget. We currently, why is there no budget? That is actually above my head at this point, but I believe when we go back in April, it will be addressed.
It's true that there is a budget, but the problem is for people who work in government agencies, it's very difficult to operate when you don't know what your dollars are. You're operating on old dollars, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. So yes, there is a budget, but there should be a current budget.
It's not a budget.
I totally understand your point, and you are operating without the COLA. However, whenever the COLA goes into effect, it usually is retroactive, as you know from past history.
Will you help me thank the candidates? Next we have up for Davy County Board of Education. 3 seats are available. We have Joe Cauble, Marie Helms, Van Jones, Tina Kearns, Tina Clerk.
First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody that came out tonight. And go ahead and give praise to Jesus because he got us up this day and gave us another beautiful day. So I want to get that out there. For those who don't know me, my name is Joe Cottle. I was raised here in Davie County, went to school here in Davie County. Graduated Davie High School, class of '89. From high school, I went to the United States Marine Corps, where I served for 4 years. After that, I served 9 years in North Carolina, excuse me, National Guard. I married my high school sweetheart. This June will be our 33rd year of marriage. That marriage has produced 2 wonderful children and 5 grandchildren, with another one due in March, here in a couple of weeks actually. I love Davie County and Davie County through and through. This first tenure on I just want to talk a little bit about that on the school board. It's been a privilege to get to know the teachers, the staff, and the parents and form relationships with these folks. And I consider it an honor to work with Marie and the others on the school board to pick a new school superintendent to lead our schools into the future, and I think we picked the right man. But in this tenure, it gave me a chance to work with 3 different school superintendents with all different styles of approach. And I've learned a lot during this first term. I think we've done a lot. We have revamped our athletic department at the high school, new coaching staff. We've seen positive fruit of all of that. We have taken the security and the safety of our students very seriously and invested in protocols, procedures, and equipment to keep our kids safe and secure while they're in our care during the day. We don't take that for granted. We do know though, our head ain't in the sand, that if evil wants to find a way, evil will find its way. But we try our best to take the precautions to protect our children. I am a big proponent of our CTE program. I don't believe every child or kid wants to go to a 4-year college or university. There's other avenues, trades, join the workforce, serving in our armed forces just like I did. And I think our CTE program does a great job. Those folks that teach over there at CTE, they are, I consider them high caliber people. And hopefully soon, we'll be breaking ground on a new CT lab at the high school. That will probably be one of the best ones in the state. Looking forward to that. I've enjoyed this time on the board. It's been a lot of work. I've learned a lot. I've been taught a lot. And I hope to keep your support and do another term. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marie Helms. It's nice to see everyone. Like Joe said, thank you so much for coming out, taking time out of your night to come out and hear from us, and let us share with you a little bit about us. So I am currently serving on the Davie County Board of Education in my first term. I am serving as the vice chair for my 2nd year in a row. I originally ran for school board my last term because one of the main reasons, my husband and I have 2 children. Our daughter is 14. She has spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. I was finding that as she was growing up, I was having to do a lot of advocacy, not only at the local level, but at the state level, to get her the needs, the supports, the things just in academics, medically, emotionally. It was just really hard to get those for her. And I found myself at the state a lot asking questions why. I was really trying to understand the IEP process, and I got a lot of knowledge on how to advocate for kiddos when I was working with her trying to do that, and I thought that I would be able to bring that knowledge into my own community and help advocate for kiddos here in Davie County. So that's one of the main reasons, and then I just really have a passion for helping and serving kids. Since my time in college, I was a Big Brother, Big Sister volunteer. I've coached swim teams in Davie County. I helped start Empower Davie Youth, which still leads the Teacher's Closet, where we give free supplies to all the teachers in Davie County. They're delivered right to their classroom, no questions asked. They just go on a website, they order that, and they get those. 3 things that I truly believe in that guide my path are my faith, my family, and my community. I think when we offer those 3 pillars to our children, we get them a strong faith, we support them with a loving family, and we provide them a great academic education. We're setting them up for success in the future. And so I'm really glad to be a part of that. Like Joe said, we've done a lot of things over these last 4 years. Gosh, 1 minute, I could talk forever. I need to roll it up here. One of the things about why I'm running again too is what I've seen is how much the state has trickles down into what happens at the local level. I've been fortunate to serve on a legislative committee representing Davie County at the state level. I was actually on a legislative meeting just last week trying to advocate for what Davie County needs, because the legislation in the state are making all these policies and all these laws, but what they're making them is usually based on the large counties in the state, like the Guilfords and the Mecklenburgs and the Raleighs, and that impacts us here in Davie County a lot differently. Okay, when they change the way we get funding and make us have to apply for grants, that's great because larger districts have grant writers and things to do that. We don't have that. So I am proud to be a voice for Davie County when I can act in that capacity. I was also just elected as a board of director for this North Carolina State School Board Association, which if I'm elected another term in Davie County, I'll be able to serve 2 terms and be a voice for that. And I gotta stop. If you have any more questions for me, I'm around. Please call me or contact me anytime, but I hope to get your vote this time around.
Hi, hello. Sorry, my voice carries pretty well anyway, so I put a microphone in it. Sometimes it gets a little carried away, so I apologize. My name is Van Jones. I'm a Davidson County native, and I married a girl from here in Davie County some years ago, and we raised our 4 kids here in Davie County, except for a stint when we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I was an air traffic controller there. I started out in the U.S. Air Force as a combat controller. I worked in the special operations field for 10 years with SEAL teams and the special ops Delta folks, and also the Rangers and some of those guys you've heard of. You probably never heard of us guys, but we're the guys in the background pulling the airplanes in for close air support and that type of thing. After that, I left the Air Force and went into air traffic control. I was in Jacksonville, Florida, then I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, followed by Greensboro, where I met my wife again, and we got married, and we had our four kids here, 2 of which graduated in Mecklenburg County, and 2 here in Davie County, 1 at Early College and 1 at Davie High. I decided to run for the school board, even though my kids are out of school, because I'm concerned not so much about this particular board, because I think our board here in Davie County is doing a pretty darn good job. But what I was concerned about is that right now in education, we're tending to drift from the basics. And I'm really concerned that our kids are not just getting diplomas, but actually leave high school after 12 or 13 years with K through 12 with the skills and the background they need, that they can genuinely, they have reading proficiency, they have math proficiency, and can actually perform. I just read a thing the other day that several schools across the nation, several colleges, are putting remedial programs into colleges for the sole purpose of teaching these kids who have been hand-picked to these colleges that get there and they can't read and they can't do basic math. And that's wrong. Now in North Carolina, in Davie County, we are above average in North Carolina. Let me make that very clear. We're doing a pretty good job. But the thing about it is our reading proficiency is 60%. Does anybody know passing grades for school? I'm pretty sure it's higher than 60%. And I don't see any reason why kids in school today, if they don't have a genuine learning disability, that we should have reading proficiencies less than 80 or 90%. I just don't understand that. So I want to work with these guys and the other school board members. Let's keep working on that. We've got a lot of other stuff going on. I know that we also have, we've got constraints that come down from the state, and we have to work within those constraints, but that's what we need to do. So I would ask for your support, and I want to help. I'm doing this for our kids and their future. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kim McClure. I am originally from Onslow County, Jacksonville, North Carolina. Moved here many, many years ago. My husband and I lived in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, while he was in law enforcement at the Winston-Salem Police Department. Once he was able to retire from that, we wanted to move, and we chose to move to Davie County several years ago. We love this community and are very happy to be here. Our children are grown and not living here. They were not in our Davie County schools, but the work that I do and have been doing for over 30 years is working with youth and youth programs ages birth to 18 years old. Currently, I work for a nonprofit organization, the YMCA, and my role is working with 6 school districts across North Carolina, where I'm in charge of overseeing before and after school programs, summer programs for school-age children, teenagers, high school. So I am very passionate. I started my career in early childhood education, and in 2017 was appointed to the North Carolina Child Care Commission at the state level in Raleigh. I served 8 years, which is the max term I could serve for that. And the Child Care Commission makes and rules and regulations and policies for child care centers, licensed child care centers in the state of North Carolina. Advocacy at the state level for all ages is a huge passion of mine, and making sure that all of our children have access to high quality education and have the resources they need to go on, whether that's college or career. I also believe that this school system in Davie County is one of the best school systems in all of North Carolina. And this board has done an amazing job. My role is because I am passionate about advocacy, I'm passionate about youth work, and I want to just be a part of the solution going forward. I want to work with our families, our teachers, our board, our administrators, just to help be a solution and make sure that going forward, all of our students have all the access to the things that they need. I believe that I can bring a lot of value and input into our NC Pre-K program, which in Davie County is amazing. We have one of the best NC Pre-K programs across the state, and I do believe I can bring an added value to that program in our school system, as well as the kindergarten through 12th grade aspects. So I look forward to talking with you more and learning about it, but that is why I'm here to run for school board.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and open up the floor to questions. And a reminder, if you have a specific question for a specific candidate, address them, otherwise we'll go to all candidates.
Excuse me. My question is probably to each of you, in particular the ones that are currently serving on the board. One of the things that I've learned through traveling through Davie County is some of the biggest issues is around bullying. And I'm hearing that in the main reason why bullying is an issue is because it's not being properly handled when it comes to the consequences for bullying. and there's a North Carolina state law that says that bullying is against the state law. So what type of policy have you guys put in place in order to empower parents who have children who have been bullied to feel comfortable coming forward and having those situations dealt with in the proper manner?
Thank you for the question. So we do have a very strong policy in place against harassment and bullying for our entire school system, and it's something that we take very seriously. Generally, how it works, if a parent or a student has an issue with somebody being bullied, they'll take that to their teacher or to their principal, and they'll address it in the school by calling the parents, calling the child, and working it out right there. I would strongly encourage, if there is a bullying situation that's going on and a parent or a student has not gotten the results that they want, to then continue to escalate it through the proper channels onto our superintendent, Dr. Heath Belcher, and then onto the board if necessary. I will be honest when I say we haven't received many bullying issues to the board level, but we would always be interested in hearing them if people have that kind of issue. Again, it's something that we take very seriously. It is a policy that we stand behind, and it's one that we review every year, if not bi-yearly, to make sure that it is up to our standards. Does that answer your question?
I think you answered it well, Marie. Bullying, there's really no tolerance for bullying. I'm sort of an old school thought that I grew up, if you're being bullied, you gotta stand up to a bully to get the bullied back off of you. I know that's not popular nowadays. Nobody wants to hear that, but the only way to stop a bully is to stand up to a bully.
Sure. Bullying is something that I have no tolerance for. We can be tolerant all we want to about anything you want to, but I have no tolerance for a bully. I think one of the biggest things to do is the perception is, and I think to a good extent it's true, that teachers have lost the authority in the classroom, not through their own actions, but simply because teachers don't have are not allowed to use the tools they used to be able to use. So I would say that we need to give more authority in the classroom at the point of attack, where that bully can be addressed immediately so that it doesn't escalate. So I would say that, and the same thing I would say that with parents as well. If you've got a child that's being bullied, you need to be able to go to that teacher. That teacher should be able to handle that. If the teacher can't handle it, then the next administrator up should be handling it. And that should be the end of it.
I just wanted to weigh in really quick. I also serve as the board chair for the Forsyth County Mental Health Association, and the statistics are alarming of teen suicides because of bullying. So I am also a very huge proponent of zero tolerance when it comes to bullying, because I want to help ensure that these statistics are going down. No child ever should be committing suicide because they feel that they are being bullied at school. That is not okay. And so I also have a zero tolerance for bullying as well.
I want to add one more thing to that. Bullying it has different levels of bullying. We're seeing bullying now with the advent of technology and AI and stuff like that. We've had cases where imposing someone's pictures on someone else's body and passing it around the schools. There's no tolerance for that. We've got the sheriff involved in situations, and we will prosecute a juvenile as an adult in these situations. There's no tolerance for that.
If our state is in sufficient funding, what do you prioritize in our budget to keep, and what would you cut out of our budget?
Well, in our budget now, we're working with old dollars till the new budget gets passed. And I give a lot of this credit to our CFO, Mr. Harris, of navigating his way through this. Like the young lady said earlier about SRO officers, I would love to see an SRO officer at every school. But it's hard to make those decisions. It's hard to budget when you don't know the exact amount of dollars. You're taking a guess. You're working with old dollars. That's something that I know we're going to be talking about. Recently, we cut out of virtual school. I believe that students need to be in the classroom to learn. They ain't learning behind the computer. They need to have a flesh and blood teacher in front of them, teaching them whatever it is, math, science, history, whatever it is. They're going to get more out of it.
So that's a good question about budget. It is very hard, and we're talking about budget. We talk about budget all the time, but we're really going to come up to it here with the next year coming on. It's really unfortunate we're the only state in the whole country that doesn't have a budget passed. How that makes it hard for the public school system is it comes down to teacher pay. Another really unfortunate thing about North Carolina is how low our teachers are paid. So I'm a very fiscally conservative person, but I also understand basic economics. And if we want to have the best of the best teachers, we need to pay them a rate and a wage that they can live on and be proud of. With more teacher pay becomes more options for teachers going into the field, more accountability, more competition. It's how it is in every professional workforce. So to answer your question, where I would never cut is teachers. Our people are the most important thing that we can put in front of our kids. If I did have to cut something, which I don't, I'm one member of a 7-person board, but I would vote on things that didn't directly impact students' education. I hate to say supplies and things like that because I don't know offhand but what I know I would never cut is anything relating to our teachers and the time and the work that they put in front of their kids.
Yeah, I would agree with most of what Marie just said and what Joe just said. When it comes down, the rubber hits the road with instruction. I mean, that's what the schools are for. Sometimes I think we forget that. The whole point of the school system is to get the kids educated. So everything else takes a back seat to that. We need to be able to pay teachers to be there. Unfortunately, a lot of that, our hands are tied at this level because of the budget constraints of the state. A lot of that goes to a couple of the other candidates that are here when they go to the state legislature and decide those things, as well as we are also handcuffed by the Department of Public Instruction. There's certain things that we have no choice in. So we have to look at what the options are of the things that we actually have control over. But in every case, I would always go, first thing is classrooms. Classrooms get the money first, and if we have to cut anything, hopefully we can cut something that is going to be behind the scenes or not become a great problem when it comes to the instruction itself.
Thank you. I will also echo many of the statements that have already been said. I also believe that I would love to see us renegotiate a contract to have more SROs in our schools. I do believe that every school should have one on the property every day, so I'd like to see that. I also do want to take anything away from our students. Every decision, in my opinion, that should be made should ask the question, how is this going to affect the outcomes of our students? And if it's going to affect them negatively, it should not be removed. So keeping the teachers first and foremost, making sure our children have access to food every day is another piece. But it is hard to do that when we are considered a smaller community and we don't get the same allotments that our larger communities have, and that should not happen across the state. Just because we are a smaller county, we should be able to have the same access that any county has in the state of North Carolina. Our students deserve that.
Okay, I have one more thing before we move, just to let everyone know. I know we all keep up with the news, like the school system in Forsyth County, $40 million, don't know where it went. I'd just like to tell the taxpayers sitting in this room tonight that Davy County Schools, we hire an outside auditor every year to audit our books. And since we've been on the board, they've been clean audits. So we're spending your taxpayer money wisely and watching out for it.
That was going to be my question, and if you would, I guess so, but maybe you can add to it and say, what is the school board role in preventing something like that happening, that happened in Forsyth County? What were the mechanics, or where did it fail in Forsyth County that the school board would have knowledge not to let it happen here?
They wasn't doing no audits. They wasn't auditing themselves. To look, there's more to it, but they have not. I'm on Davy County School Board. What they do, I do know they wasn't doing audits of themselves. Where all that money, and one other thing they was doing, they was spending money, one-time money on recurring programs and stuff. And that's another reason they got themselves in the hole. You have to ask those people over there. It wasn't us. Maybe the superintendent that now lives in Florida, yeah. No, when we have our meetings, we have our CFO in there, and we go over the budget. We're continuously talking about budget items and outlays and what we have in the bank and what we're getting ready to put out, and we continuously talk about that.
Thank you for the question. So one of the things, we do our audit every year. I think every district does their audit every year. Ours came back clean. Not only that, but our reserve is one of the best in the state. We continually get feedback that our entire budget is wonderful, and that is due to our CFO and also to the accounting that we have, and holding not only our CFO and our superintendent accountable, and they hold us accountable too. We have steps in place to where, for example, when we get quotes from third-party companies who come in and do contracting for us, we make sure we have second and third quotes. We really dig into those contractors. Who are they? What are they doing? What is the warranty like? Where is our money going? Why is it going there? We do a great job of asking a lot of questions and getting a lot of details into what we're spending. We also, to Joe's point, when funds do come down from the state, it is the most complex budget I've ever seen in my life. It's ridiculous. But there's funds that come down that can only be used in a certain amount of time for a certain amount of kids. We have to be very diligent that we use those funds for a certain amount of time for a certain amount of kids. For example, during COVID, we did get extra funds for teacher positions. When we hired those teachers, we told them, we are only allowed to hire you for 2 years. This is the funds we have, this is what your contract says. Whereas other districts, they didn't have that in place, so they just kept on hiring them. These are just some examples. And it really lends to, I'm not going to sit up here and take all the credit for this as a board. This is a phenomenal administration that we have who works together and respects each other and really does everything they can to put the students first, because if we start slipping on our budget, that's going to start slipping to the teachers and to the kids, and then we start failing. So it's very important, and it is hard decisions, y'all. There's so many things we want to bring in. We would love to expand schools and expand buildings and expand teachers and expand, but when we're doing that, we're using money that we don't have, and that's when you get into trouble.
One of the things that I've been very impressed with as far as the current board and Davie County generally on the budget is that we use the money that, my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding is that we use the money that came in last year for our budget this year. We're not guessing how much money there is. We know how much money that was brought in revenue for the school last year, and that's what we're using this year. And then we'll use the money we bring in this year, and that will be next year's budget. What that does is it keeps us from having any uncertainty. If you're expecting, for example, you're expecting $1 million and you only get $750,000, you get in trouble if you don't have that in place. Am I accurate in that, Joe? Is that accurate? That's an accurate depiction of the way the budget works, right?
Davy County is growing. There are a lot of new development coming and being built in the area. Are there any plans for a new middle school or a new elementary or anything to that effect? That's one part of my question. And the second part, with the growing population, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of vaping happening or hearing about vaping happening in the school. So what, as a board member, do you do with your policies in order to make sure that you are in position for the new people that are coming into Davie County and to stem the vaping problem?
Thank you for that question. I thought we would get that because it's a hot topic right now with the community growing. And I just want to assure everyone, one thing that I'm really proud of, and for our school district personnel in the past too that have been on the board, we have always proactively stayed up on the economics and the population rates in Davie County with surveys and studies. We even brought in outside companies to give us data to analyze the county in terms of where we're going, because we want to be ready for this growth if we need it, and we would never want to be hit with having to do a redistrict or something crazy without knowing it. Something that's really interesting that we found, so back in 2011 we did a study, 2017, 2021, and then just January 2 months ago, January 2026, our superintendent gave a great presentation. You can pull it up on the board meeting of the economic analysis and how it relates to the schools in Davie County. I think it was back in 2017 we had an ADM, an average daily membership of 6,500 kids in the schools. Today we're right around 58 to 5,900. And we project that into the year 2032, we still will not be at that 6,500 number, even with the growth in the county. Okay, so we are watching every single school individually for the percentage of capacity. We do have 2 schools that we are watching closely. They are getting close to the 90 to 95%. That's Moxville and South Davie, Moxville Elementary and South Davie Middle. That's obviously because they're in the city of Moxville where most of our workers happen. So we're watching them closely. They still are not projected to be at 100% even up until 2032, 2033. Not saying that won't change, but we are proactively on it. You might be asking, why is that the case? 14% of our kids are homeschooled now. So there's a lot of, even though people are coming into the county, we also have a lot of homeschool options. People are going to private school. So again, I just want to rest assured, because that is a question that I thought people would be concerned about with everyone coming in. We are proactively staying on top of that. We want to make sure our kids, our classrooms, and our teachers have space to be educated safely and how they should be. So thanks for that.
Vaping is an issue. I think right now we've got good leadership at our high school, which we've recently changed, and the principal out there is a no-nonsense type of person, if you know what I mean. I haven't heard a lot of issues coming to me this year. Actually, this year, since the superintendent, we've made some changes on staff in certain schools and everything. This has been the quietest fall since my tenure on the school board, to be honest with you, and I'm happy about that. And I know Marie's happy about that.
And I just want to say, so I have a 17-year-old son, so vaping is an issue. One of the problems that we have, though, I don't want any kid to vape because I know the outcome of it, but the problem is not all parents feel that way. My son's friends have parents that think vaping's okay. So it's very hard for us as a school board to enforce policy when at home they're seeing their parents vape, or they're vaping, or it's vaping. So we do have excellent policies in place. At school, it is not allowed. We work really closely with Dr. Hartman. Dr. Hartman, Sheriff Hartman, I'm sorry. I know you like that. But we have came together, we have brainstormed, we have tried to come up with everything we can. We've put different things, education sessions in place to help tell the kids what's gonna happen if you continue to vape. So we're always open to ideas, but it is an ongoing battle that we have.
Sorry. Thank you. Right. So, please help me thank them. And for our final panel of the evening, we have the Davie County Board of Commissioners. We have 2 seats available, and we have Mark Prater, Nina Penny, Billy Grevitz, Brent Shope, Charles Williams, and Mark
Okay, they told me I have to go first, so. Thank you to the Senior Center for having us all out for your forum. I'm Mark Crater. I'm a candidate for County Commissioner. A little about myself, I am recently retired from the Sheriff's Office here as a lieutenant, 30 years in law enforcement. I'm currently a fireman with Farmington Fire Department. I've been doing that my entire life with the Fire and Rescue Service. Been on multiple boards throughout the county, past chairman, Farmington Fire Department Board, Smith Grove Fire Department Board, Humane Society, Domestic Violence Rape Crisis Center Board. I keep going. I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. I know everybody's ready to get out of here. Married to my wife, Carrie Wilson Crater. We live in the Farmington community. I'm a member of Cornerstone Christian Church, and I am currently your GOP precinct chair for Farmington.
Hello, my name is Mark White. I am running for board of county commissioners, lifelong resident of Davy County, and first of all, let me thank all of y'all for taking time out of your life, your evening to be with us tonight, because, you know, we have, as Americans, the right to vote. And with all rights come responsibilities, and with responsibilities comes the responsibility to educate yourself and to see what's out there. And I appreciate y'all taking time to do that. So my hats off to you. Thank you for moderating. Thank you for videotaping. Hello to people on YouTube. Thank you to Carrie for hosting this. Congratulations to Brent. So with that being said, I probably shouldn't say this in front of the sheriff since he's here, but I'm probably the biggest drug dealer in Davie County. I have been for over 3 decades. Most of it's legal. I'm a pharmacist, so that being said, I've been working in a drugstore since 1983 when I was in high school. And, you know, I owe that to my teacher. You know, we were talking about careers one day, education and possibilities, and she's, you know, we're talking about our strengths and interests, and she's like, my husband runs a drugstore, maybe you can work for him one day. Well, guess what? I did, and I'm here today, and it was all because of that. And that says that answers the question to why I'm running for Board of County Commissioners. I've been on the planning board since, I guess, February of 2019 as an alternate member, full member since shortly thereafter. And I was sort of looking forward to rotating off, and I think my time's up in September. So my last meeting was in August, and then several people asked me to stay on, which is illegal, or run for board. So I decided, okay, let's do something. Maybe I still have something to offer. Because I love Davie County, you can tell from the orange. You know, I bleed Carolina blue, but I love, you know, Davie County orange, so that's why I'm here. I've been on the Board of Health, I've been on the planning board, been on some other boards, been a member of, you know, been on Rotary, been on the Lions Club, you know, whatever it takes. I love Davie County. That's why I'm here. And I want to see what we can do to come together as a county to be proactive instead of reactive. I've seen us be too reactive for too long. So we've got to come together, look at the problems, address them, talk through the solutions, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and be proactive and move forward. So that's who I am, that's why I'm here.
I might have to stand up. I know most of you know me, but I am Benita Fanny, and I'm currently the chair of the Davie County Board of Commissioners, of which I'm very honored that my peers chose me to serve in that position, and I am even more honored to serve you, the citizens, in that position. I live in Advance. My son, who is 24, is a elementary school teacher at North Hills Christian in Rowan County, and he graduated from Davie County Early College. And we just love Davie County. I'm gonna feed off something that was said a while ago. It's easy to repeat the truth and not easy to repeat the lie. I love Davie County. I love Davie County. And even more than that, I love Davie County people, because that's what makes our county so special and so wonderful, are the people that live here in this county, and the way that we look out for each other, and the way that we take care of each other, and the way that we love each other, which is what we're instructed to do. I try to stay involved in the community on the daily, and I try to be accessible and responsive, although there's a person who called me today that would probably say that is not true, because I have not called them back, but I will, because we've had a lot going on today. When I first ran for commissioner, one of the main reasons that I was running was because of our emergency services, specifically fire funding, because at the time our fire departments were tremendously underfunded. They're still underfunded, but we've made some progress. But as I have served through these 2 terms, I have learned so much, and I have become passionate about many areas of our county, and I really do enjoy my job. And we have so many wonderful things to be proud of here. Just this building we're sitting here now, this senior services staff is amazing. We probably have the best senior services in the state, and we're getting ready to do senior games. Woo, ready for that. So, but you know, our sheriff's department, our EMS, our fire, our rescue squad, our community paramedic program that has been formed since I've been on the board is just making an amazing difference in this community for people that are in recovery and elderly people that need assistance. They just grow that program every day, so we're really proud of that. I'm really proud of our new EMS station out on Cronexa Road that has been built while I've been on the board. We've made a lot of progress. I know right now the hot topic is growth. We don't love it. All of us don't love it. But it's coming. We can't stop it. But we are working very hard to try to get some better regulations in place so that it's just not blowing us out of the water. And we have a lot of work to do, and we've got to pay attention. So I try to be available if anybody needs anything. But I just want to tell you how important this election is in Davie County, this primary for school board and county commissioner. This is the time. So please make sure all of your neighbors go vote, and thank you for being here.
My name is Brent Shove. I'm running for my 2nd term as county commissioner. Just a little bit about me. I mean, I've been pretty involved in the community with being on some boards like Big Brothers Big Sisters, State Employees Credit Union Advisory Board, Davie Civitan, hospital boards, and so forth. But what I really want to talk about is, you know, what the role of government, county government is. It's the government that touches your lives the most directly. Is the person that comes and gets you when you have chest pains at 2 o'clock in the morning, comes and helps put out a fire, first responders. I don't want to leave anybody out. Is the custodian of your most vital, cherished records that I did for 20 years as registered deeds in a previous life. It touches you directly, and there's lots of departments that are there to publicly serve you, and that's where your tax dollars come in. Very pro staff, because a service organization is only as good as its staff. It's no different than education, because the teachers are really what drives how good that is. The same thing is here. You got to have a servant's heart. You got to believe in serving the public. And so ways we need to do is we need to be cognizant of making the best environment, the best culture possibly for the employees that work within our departments. And it's not always about money. A lot of it's about good leadership and good department directors and other creative ways to make it good for a person to work there.
But that being said, we need to do a better job probably at paying our people who are the boots on the ground, the first responders, the people who do the actual physical work, so to speak. I want to touch real briefly on what I think is our single biggest issue in the county, and it's related to everything, and that is growth. And we've done several things recently to help with growth. We've increased lot size in the county from 30 to 40,000 square feet. One of the things I'm most proud that we've done is we've increased the minimum lot width when you join a highway from 80 to 150 feet for safety reasons, aesthetic reasons, and so forth. We are currently considering doing things to help with lots that in our most rural areas do not have public water, to maybe make those lots 60, 80,000 square feet. I could go on. I've got a lot of statistics. I'm a statistics nerd, and I can share some of that with you at your leisure, or maybe it'll come up within some of the questions tonight. Thank you.
All right, at this point, we'll open it up to questions. You warm up. Right up, hold on, wait for the mic.
You intrigued me when you said we need to look at our problems. What do you think some of our problems are, and how can we address them?
How much time do I have? Our biggest problem is we have a target on our back. The secret's out. Davy County is not the well-kept secret it used to be. You know, I grew up, way back when we had dirt roads. As you said, you were from Davy County. Nobody knew where you were from. Somebody asked you where you were from, and you said Moxville. They thought you said Knoxville, and they thought you were from Tennessee. But we're on the map. We've got a target on our back. I've been, as I said, on the planning board. We had the solar farms coming our way, mostly because of the tax credit. We've got to be proactive. Growth is a big challenge. Buck Hall is dead. The county can't perk as many lots as they're getting a request to be perked, by the county staff. Soil scientists, there's a list a mile long, and if you write a check big enough, you can get a soil scientist to perk your lots. If one will perk it, you move on to the next. I don't know what the answers are to that, but if you don't address that, and you've got a problem with, do you have enough water? Do you have enough water pressure? Do you have enough first responders? Do you have enough fire departments? It's about lives. It's about boots on the ground. It's about the sheriff's department, law enforcement, crime, all of that. You've got lots of problems. You got one problem. But together, we've got to sit down, and it boils down to, I didn't even read this, but one of the things on here is mutual respect and transparency. And the key word there is mutual respect. We have to sit down and agree to disagree, but to disagree agreeably, and find something that's going to work, and realize that we're going to fall on our face on occasion, and we're going to get ourselves, we're going to stand up, we're going to knock the dirt off our knees and get up and try something else. On the planning board, we worked on the solar farm issue for at least 18 months before we got that problem, I won't say nipped in the bud, because we didn't nip it in the bud. We basically had to address a problem that came to us, and it was bigger and larger than we were. But we looked around to surrounding counties. I don't mind thinking outside the box. I don't mind tearing the box apart, building another box, standing on top of the box. Let's see what works, let's see what doesn't work, and let's do it. How's that for a non-answer? And thank you, Michelle. I didn't mean to overlook you a while ago. You're the bad guy in the room with the time clock over there telling everybody to stop. So thank you for being the nicest bad guy in the room. We appreciate you, sir.
Other questions?
Most of the homes that are being built now in Davie County are built by two big corporations. There's some others, but D.R. Horton is the largest home builder in the United States, and Heritage Homes is the second largest. They've got lawyers galore, engineers. When you change the rules, then they just go out here and play cat and mouse with you. Then they hire the lawyers and their engineers to figure out a way around them. So how do you deal with that?
Your question is to all of us,
I think the easiest way you deal with that, so you don't get yourself sued, is you come up with policies that talk about minimum lot sizes, which is a tangible number you can stand behind. And the same way with increasing it, if you're out in the county where there's no public water, that is something that's defensible. And then you also put in policies such as green space requirements. You put in requirements like a zoning district being put in place if you exceed a certain number of lots. Those are really the simplest, most tangible ways you can do it, so your ordinance is able to help you make a decision so that some lawyer can't come in and say that, well, you were this way on this particular case, but you treated another case differently. And keeping in mind that you've always got to look at the individual property rights when you make these decisions.
So William, thank you for that question. And we actually just last week changed our ordinance to where all subdivisions have to come to us for special permit approval at this time, because we are trying to address our ordinances and trying to address this situation with these homes. As I told the planning board the week before last, we have to be proactive because we're not dealing with developers of the past who came to Davie County or more often lived in Davie County. So they were proud of their work and they wanted to stand back and have the community be proud as well. These guys just want to come in here and make every single penny off of us that they can. So we are trying to move through that and do a better job of getting all of that in control. But the ordinances and regulations are gonna be the key to try to do that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, as long as people buy them, how are you gonna stop them from coming? You know, we can't stop people from buying these houses. So as long as they're selling them, they're gonna try to be in here. So we can just do the best we can to try to make them at least do a little better work and aesthetically and be more conscious of the neighborhoods that they're moving into, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
Is this on? Okay, it's on. Okay, I think great question. Thank you for that. That's good and it's bad when you're dealing with the biggest and nationwide. That means they have a history. We can look at that history. We can see who's gone up against them. We can see who's had some success. We can repeat that success. As far as green space and stuff like that, it's not a bad idea, but then again, it needs to be usable green space. We need to define that. We got to put all this in writing. When I was living in Farmington, I was up there cleaning out my gutters. I looked on the chimney, talking about quality. The guy who built the house, he, was, I'm not going to name the builders, but it was a local company, and he had signed, the name of the building company with his finger in the mortar on the chimney and put the year because he was proud of it. That was quality. We need to get back to that. And dealing with the solar situation, we visited that and revisited that. We saw what we did right. We saw some stuff that we left out, and we tweaked it and we tweaked it until we got it. When's the last? We haven't had a solar farm come here in, I can't remember when. It was proposal after proposal, after meeting, month after month there for the longest time. They've gone away. The target is off our back as far as the solar farm. They finally figured out, Davie County's got solar farms figured out. Let's go somewhere else. So we've got to look at what we're doing here, look at property rights, so you can do what you want to with your property, but for the right purpose for Davie County, your family, your community, our loved ones, our community as a whole, the infrastructure, the right thing, the right place at the right pace, and we've got to do a good job of that. We've got to look at any rules and regulations we do and make sure that they're bulletproof and Teflon.
All right, William, as far as getting the local builders back in, I can't answer it. I don't know how to answer that. You're just gonna have to get them in here. We can't tell people what type of house they're gonna build and what kind of quality. People are buying them, they must enjoy it. Another way I'm looking at your question is the larger builders are paying a lot of money to attorneys to figure ways around things. And one issue we're having right now, I think if the ordinance was wrote just a little bit better to include where you can't get your way, well, we'll just circumvent and we'll go in and we'll do 2 or 3 developments instead of 1. When that same developer reaches the parameters of the restrictions on the larger development, they should have to go in and do the same restrictions at that point.
I want to say something, and don't get me wrong. I'm so glad I don't live in Davie County because you guys are all great candidates. I really would have a difficult time choosing. But I am concerned with what you're saying about the growth here, coming here and having the houses built, not the quality that we deserve and we expect. But along those lines, I'm trying to figure out how to word this question so it doesn't sound like it's trying to deny people from being part of your community. But have you considered, or are there any plans of ordinances from stopping organizations like hedge funds or whatever to buy a group of these homes and just send them out for as rentals just to make the money? Have you considered any of that?
Okay, speaking from a planning board perspective, that's not come up. You know, basically, we just review what's brought to us. So I don't know what other planning has been done by the county. I can't speak to that. But one concern I have, to echo your concern about housing, is when you're building housing at the pace we're building housing, you're making the housing that you're building may be affordable to somebody from Charlotte who's selling $1 million house and coming here and buying a $300,000 or $400,000 house. But to Davie County people, it's still unaffordable housing. What do we do about that? My answer is, I don't know. We need to come together, we need to talk about that. And I'm open to anything. I'm a conservative. I'm not into government overreach, but we must take care of our community and our county and our fellow citizen and our neighbor. You know, just because something will perk today doesn't mean it's going to perk in 5 years. Sure, they're liable for it, but where is that person? Where's that company 5 years from now?
Ms. McAbee, I'll give you a simple answer to the question that you asked, and that is happening here, and we are not addressing it at this time. We have not formally addressed it.
I'll reiterate that we're not addressing it. I don't know that we have the legal means to address that, just like it's hard for us to dictate the quality with which a home is built other than inspecting the home properly to see if it meets certain characteristics. And the affordable housing thing is kind of like the dog chasing its tail. What's affordable to one person is not necessarily affordable to the other person. And right now, builders sit down and decide, or developers take a number of lots and they try to monetize, essentially with a formula, exactly what they're going to make on each unit. And so they're going to pass that cost on, and there's no incentive. I know there's not really been questions about affordable housing, but there's no incentive out there for the builder or the developer to build something that would be affordable, because they're looking at it all in a margin, and the margin basically is going to dictate what they're going to do. I guess if somebody gave them some land, they might could build a little bit more affordable housing, but I don't want to get off on that tangent, but it's just a whole conundrum. And I do want to sort of say, with regard, one thing I would be remiss if I didn't say is that real housing does not pay for itself. If we solely tried to run the government of Davie County and serve the citizens of Davie County, and it was all based on residential property tax, we would be having to lay people off right now. It simply does not pay itself. I'll give you one brief illustration that I did want to lift up. The median house cost in Davie County is $400,000. $400,000. So let's be simple with the math. We got 1,000 houses, and we've got about 2,000 permitted right now. That yields $400 million worth of value built at that rate. But when you apply the 68.86 cents per $100 in value, that yields $2,754,000. If those houses average 3 people per house, our population might have gone up close to 3,000. And based on the cost to do business, provide law enforcement and EMS, and what ambulances cost, and what possibly building another elementary school at some point, if we don't get wrapped around this, I don't think that pays the bills. I mean, that's not hyperbole, that's not anecdotal, that's not emotional, that's the math. So I wanted to throw that out there in some capacity, whether it's totally germane to your question or not.
I'm going to answer your question very simple. I know of no legal leg the county would have to stand on to tell someone they could not purchase a piece of property.
I just have a quick.
We have time. Yeah, we have time for one more question.
I'd just like to take a quick poll of the candidates. What is your position, yes or no, on data centers coming into the county?
Data centers, I don't believe we have enough power or water to handle data centers, so I'm going to go no.
I don't know how to answer your question. I'm doing research on that because I'm a nerd. I'm still researching the soil to figure out what we do about, building houses and making the land perk without being a problem. I know that there's new technology coming. I know that, they're talking about, natural gas powering, self-powered. I know water is still an issue. So if they're providing their own power, But if the price of power goes up for us, or if we don't have enough water for the fire department, or to take a shower, or enough water but not enough pressure, that's a problem. But then again, I can see what kind of money they bring to the county, and I see what this is costing. I think we don't know the answer to that question is. I think the answer is, I know from the planning board, you got yes, no, and defer. I think we look at other places, let them experiment and make mistakes, learn lessons, get rich, or go broke, or see what happens there, learn from their mistakes, and go from there. And I don't think we'll know the answer to that question for several years, frankly.
So I do not believe that the citizens of Davie County would want a data center in our county. So that would be my answer, the same as the citizens. I do understand why the county that's in the news now made that vote, because it's gonna bring an enormous amount of revenue to their county, but money is not everything.
I believe in trying to follow the populist sentiment of the citizens, just like in development. I listened to that when I campaigned last time, and I'll say that the same for data center. If we can have public meetings and we can be educated and we can be shown true data that a data center would not be disruptive, I'm opening to listening to it. But if the feedback I get from the citizens is that it's not something you want, I'm not gonna go out there to support it. It's something you gotta do to take a strong look at if the property value is $3 billion and actually furniture is worth, with real impersonal, about $100 million, you gotta at least vet the situation. You owe it to the public in that way, because that could generate like $20 million worth of revenue. That could make your property tax go down otherwise, everybody else's, or it could provide opportunities for things. So, I've not made a decision either way. I just know that no decision on something like that should be made without considering all the different areas, the positives, the negatives. But before anything like that, I think, would be passed in this county, I think it would be very vetted to the extreme before we decided to do something like that. Thanks.
All right, well, thank you all for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Stay safe going home, and don't forget, early voting started today.